Hello, my name is Daou. I am here to discuss or make a video about fear. I got a lot of questions, like why do people become so much afraid of the end of the world? Well, end of the world is a prophecy, and we are addicted to fear and look to it because it makes us feel more alive. It gives us an adrenaline rush. Therefore, these prophecies will always be high in the levels of people as it feeds this fear. Prophecies tend to be about a lot of terrible and bad, horrible things that will happen to us and all the people we love and the world. These prophecies are the worst fear of all, and so medias and televisions tend to make documentaries about these prophecies and scary movies about the end of the world. Big businesses, corporations tend to sell survival gears or make bunkers just so people can pay them for these bunkers. But most of all, people will scare other people by spreading their knowledge of this prophecy or end of the world. Some people asked also about the difference between an ordinary fear and a phobia. As simple as it is, a fear is normal emotion that everyone experiences and can easily overcome. While a phobia has a little bit common things with fear, but also it's a bit different because it's an anxiety disorder, which are disorders in people where they feel terrified of certain objects or situations. Phobias are irrational fears. They are uncontrollable feelings that cannot be easily overcome. Phobias tend to be like people are afraid of dogs, clowns, or high places, stuff like that. Another question was why are humans addicted to fear? Why do we scare ourselves? Well, fear is a kind of feeling that makes a human rise towards be stronger, make him feel more alive, have an adrenaline rush. We are addicted to fear. Maybe because fear drives us, like so many people, like to jump out of airplanes or climb mountains or to bungee jump over high places. When we live in a life where we are too afraid of going out, we're always staying safe and peaceful, we feel bored, we feel something is missing from our life, because being a human, we also have the stuff like animals have, such as survival instinct, where these survival instincts want to be challenged. That's why they always say soldiers and policemen feel more alive than us normal people, because they seem to fear to face life-threatening fears or situations. Because we thrive on fear, medias and governments and big corporations tend to feed us with large doses of that fear. Governments or doctors, stuff like that, scare us about diseases, swine flus, AIDS, stuff like that. They even scare us by telling us that the food that corporations are making are harmful. Small toys being harmful to kids. They scare us also by telling us that they cannot expect when a earthquake or tornado is about to hit around the world. They also show us what happens when a tornado or earthquake or tsunami hits the world, scaring us more about it. They show us scary movies such as Saw and stuff like that. Murders, horrible human behaviors, but still we can't get enough of these because of our survival instinct. Some people said that media, as I spoke, feeds on this addiction by exaggerating and informing us things to fear. This is true, but we cannot stop it because of our survival instinct. Graham talked about the fear, where he stated that governments or corporations that really run the world are so invested in spreading fear and hatred amongst us to divide us and separate us, sending us against one another. And we're in danger of making this fear come true. But he also says that we have a choice, that the people of the world need to take power back into their own hands, which means exercise our survival skills over these governments, overcome our fear towards governments and big corporations. It's time to take over our own consciousness and to stop handing it to these big corporations and governments. He also speaks about the antidote of fear, which is love. And he also states that there are different kinds of fears, like media, or governments, or big corporations. But he speaks of that we always have to question authorities, because it's the problem of authorities that has gotten us to the world we are in today, since they stir up fear and hatred just to keep themselves in power. We should refuse the things they feed us like a spoon by a spoon. And he believes that the answer to overcome this fear and these governments and big operations is our youth. One of the main divisors, he believes, in this world that drives fear and splits people apart is religion. Since he believes it's a system of ideas that people take in without questioning, where we must question everything, even religion, and not just take it in because our parents and their parents and past generations delivered to each other this stuff. We have the right to question these. One of examples of the media where they exaggerate the fear is was translated according to National Geographic, where they talked about NASA's Ask an Astrological website, where they got a lot of questions, according to David Morrison, a senior scientist in NASA, where he believed these questions, or what people talked about, were disturbing. The media was transferring these info to them that made them talk about disturbing stuff, like the two teenagers who were considering killing themselves before the world ends because they were too afraid, or the two parents that wanted to kill their children and themselves so not to suffer in the end of the world. Another question was how can we be controlled by governments through fear? According to Svensson, fear is used for social control. Political fear is created and maintained. This means that fear is used to control people, to keep them down, get them to support different political agendas. For example, he discusses how President George W. Bush and his administration tried to make public scared of terrorist attacks, where after the attack on World Trade Center and Pentagon on 11/2001, in order to gain public support to keep him in power, promising them that he can keep them safe from these terrorist attacks, and that if they keep him in power, he promises to go into war against Afghanistan and Iraq, where he made people scared that Afghanistan and Iraq are the main countries where these terrorists are coming from. But people believed him because since Afghanistan and Iraq were not connected to the attacks that happened on the World Trade Center or America. Svensson also talks about how people will sacrifice anything just to be safe and protected from what drives their fear inside of them, and they will look to their governments, and they will elect the governments that will make them feel this safety. But this is wrong, because when we give up our basic rights for protection from fear, we lose. He also states that in a risk culture, all of us are victims. We become so pathetic in the sense that we become sufferers, passive recipients. Fear robs us of our freedom. Someone asked that besides death, what am I afraid of and why? Well, death is the most controlling fear of all. There are a lot of things that drive me to fear. Maybe such fear of losing someone you love in your family, or fear of a war happening in my country. Fear of the future, not knowing how it will work out for me. I can describe my own addiction to fear. For example, sometimes being scared of the dark. I have a moment when I'm going up the stairs to my building, where everything is dark. The fear of it gives me a fear that someone is following me up the stairs. I tend to worry a lot about bad things happening, like wars in my country, because of certain parties or people that have weapons against the army and such things like that. I mean, like everybody else, I fear the end of the world, the catastrophes, natural catastrophes, stuff like that. I guess this is the end of my video. Hope you